Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So now we're starting the Chitra Deepa Prakarana. So let's do the sloka one. Those who have books can follow. There are different types, even available on the online also, if you want to download. Yatha chitrapate drashtam, yatha chitrapate drashtam, avasthanam chatushtayam, avasthanam chatushtayam, paramatmani vigneyam, paramatmani vigneyam, tadhavastha chatushtayam, tadhavastha chatushtayam. So yatha, so here he is introducing the example. Yatha chitrapate avasthanam chatushtayam. Just as in the chitrapata. Chitrapata is the where the canvas and example of the canvas of painting. Avasthanam chatushtayam. There are 4 stages of its evolution. Drashtam or seen. Tada paramatmani. In the same way, in the totality, paramatma is in the Ishvara also, or from the paramatma, the total consciousness. Avastha chatushtayam. There are 4 stages of that vigneyam to be known. So here there are 4 stages of the example that you are going to tell, and similarly there are 4 stages. So using the example, we have to understand the truth behind it. So it's just the introduction sloka. Most of the slokas are, self-explanatory, so we can go through quickly. That's turn it off, huh? Oh, you need that. Hari Om. So we just chanted the first sloka. Anyway, it must have picked up for the. So let's do this second sloka. Yatha dauto gattitascha. Yatha dauto gattitascha. Lanchito ranjita pataha. Lanchito ranjita pataha. Chidantaryami sutratma. Chidantaryami sutratma. Virat chatma tatheryate. Chatma tatheryate. So here he is giving you the names for each, both from the point of Chitrapata, the canvas painting, as well as the parallel for the consciousness from the Paramatma. So yatha, dau, so dautaha is dautaha is a clean cloth. Gattitaha, so gattitaha is the one that is becomes stiff by the starch and is put in a frame. So it is that he calls it as a gattita. Lanchitaha, where we have drawn the outline of the stretches of the drawing itself. And ranjitaha, means that's which is where you have painted with the colors. So there are 4. So dautaha, gattitaha, lanchitaha, ranjitaha. So there are 4 from Atma as Chidantaryami, Chit, Antaryami, Sutratma, Virat. So Atma Tatheryate. So Atma also Tatheryate. So is also classified in terms of Chit, pure consciousness, Antaryami. So he is looking only from the global point, from the macrocosm, from the Ishvara's point at that level. So Antaryami is Ishvara, the one who pervades everything, internally pervading, essentially, Antaryami. Sutratma is the one who is essentially the subtle body forming total, which is essentially same as Hiranyagarbha in our terminology. And Virat is grossification of the totality, is the Virat Swarupa that you saw in the 11th chapter. So this is from the totality point, you have Chit, pure consciousness, and that which is Sutratma, forming first with the Maya, is equivalent to the Ishvara, that is Antaryami, and then next level is Virat, Sutratma, which is the Hiranyagarbha, subtle body of the total, firstborn, and that's called Brahmaji. And Virat is the total gross body of the entire universe as Virat Swarupa. This is essential classification in the Mandukya also. You will have macrocosmic in terms of the grossest is Virat, next is the Hiranyagarbha, then is the Ishvara, and the Chaturtham is the Turiyam is the fourth. So essentially he's talking about 4 aspects. But only from the macrocosmic point only is describing here. So Sloka 3. Swata subrotradau tasyat gattitonna vilepanat mashyakarail lanchitasyat ranjito varnapuranat. So cloth, now he is giving you description of each one from the cloth point. Example from the painting. Swataha subrataha dhautaha syat. So dhautaha, that cloth that we have, is swataha subrataha, is by itself is pure. So you want to make sure that we are having a pure cloth first. So he says swataha, by its nature, it is a pure white cloth has been taken there, atra, in this. And that's called Dhautaha. That is the white, pure substratum, adhara, support for the painting. So from now on, we won't see the cloth, we see only colors and paints there. But behind that, there is a cloth that is the supporting. Without the cloth, nothing can be staying stable there. So we need the cloth, but we don't see the cloth. We see only the painting, and we get carried away with the paintings on top and say that is the whole thing, is forgetting that there is substratum, sadhara, as a Chaitanya supporting all these movable and charachara. Remember in the Guru Stotram says that which is behind the charachara. So behind movable and immovable is that which is Chaitanyam, and the teacher who is pointing to me, to that teacher I am prostrating. That's how the Akhanda Mandalakaram and all that. So here is essentially the 4 things that are there in the classification of the cloth. So Dhautaha, Gattitaha, Lanchitaha, and Ranjita Pataha. Pataha is the frame on which the painting is. So similarly, is going to go to from the global point, from the consciousness, the 4 aspects. Swataschidantaryami tu mayavi sukshma srushtitaha sutratma stula srushchaiva viradityuchyate paraha. So paraha, that is the last word, paraha, the supreme self. So swataha is by itself chit, by itself is pure consciousness. What is there really is pure consciousness and nothing else. These are all apparent things on top of it. So adhyaropa apavada, which is whole philosophy of Vedanta is adhyaropa. We are seeing that which is superimposed and taking that as a real, but we first look at it and then negate this to see what is behind. So the essence of Vedanta is I cannot see Satchidananda. There is no way I can see. What I should see is looking at what I see and recognize the presence of Satchidananda. So that's why it is a subtle part. So I see the world only, but through the world I had to see the Lord. Lord Krishna comes and says, that's not Lord Krishna. Because Lord Krishna is Antaryami, everywhere is there. How can I see it? But I can see from a bhakti point, but if Lord Krishna is seen, he has to teach me that I am everywhere also. What do I do after how long he is going to stay? He says, sir, I have to go, do somebody else is calling me. So therefore, even if Lord Pratyaksha, even if he comes there, he has to come and teach me that I am all pervading Antaryami. Right? Then only the teaching will be. Otherwise, Lord is gone and I am back to the same place. So the presence of what it is has to be understood now. So in and through Lakshmi only I can see Narayana. That's what is called the Lakshmi is what? Everything is Vaibhavam, Vibhuti of the creation, and through the creation I had to recognize that. So it is cognitive understanding. It's not like I am going to see Brahman somewhere. If you see Brahman, then that's not Brahman. Because Brahman cannot be seen. So what I see is I had to recognize the presence of Brahman in and through what I see. So all these examples are provided for me in a way that this is all pictorial, and with that pictures I had to recognize the adhara, support that is there behind it. So existence I cannot see, but I can see existence of this lid. I say it exists, but it exists because of what? Because of existence is supporting it. Without existence it cannot exist. So in and through it I had to recognize the presence of that which is existence, even though name and a form is different. In and through name and a form of a ring, I had to see the presence of the gold. So gold example is very easy because it's perceptible. It has its own attributes. But here existence doesn't have any attributes, because if it has attributes it becomes a finite. So that's where the difficult part is, and that's where the meditation, where viveka is required to see that which I cannot see, through which what I see. So from whatever I see or I transact world with the world, I have to recognize. Just as I am seeing the moon, but I have to see the sunlight. It's not the moon that I am seeing, it is the sunlight that I am seeing, but I get carried away with the moon and thinking that that is the moon, but in and looking at the moon, because without the moon I cannot see the sunlight there. I need the moon, but I had to reject the moon, and at the same time looking at the moon, I had to see the sunlight. In the same way, I see the world, I had to name and a form, in and through the name and the form, I had to see the Lord. That's why he says, I am there in Hrudjishu Tishtati, in everyone I am there. Right? That's what in the 18th chapter says. I am there as the very essence in the Hrudi. Hrudi means in the core of each one I am there. And how do I see it? I cannot see it. But he is alive. So the life expression of him, through the expressions and all that, I could recognize that consciousness that is pervading. Without consciousness, he will be dead. Right? So that in and through, I have to recognize all this. That's why all this analysis only because I cannot see that pure Brahman. What I see is only names and forms. In and through the names and forms, I have to recognize the Brahman. So sadhana is, the teaching is not for class only. This teaching is meant for putting that in the practice, where whenever I am transacting in the world, as I am transacting, I have to recognize the presence of the Lord. So a simple example that says, looking at the pot, says, yes, pot came from the cloud, from the clay. First statement. Then I look at the pot more carefully. There is nothing but clay only. Clay in that form. Then I say there is not even pot. It's only clay appearing in the pot form. Now apply this to the pot is easy. Brahman, looking at anything, in and through, it is pure existence expressing in the form of this, or consciousness expressing in the form of that. So consciousness plus the Nama Rupa. Reject the Nama Rupa. What is it? It is pure existence only expressing in these forms. That becomes a knowledge. Even though I am looking and transacting with the world, even though I am using a pot as a pot, but I say there is no pot. Follow? Even though I'm transacting with the world outside, with the different people, he's different, she's different, everything is different, but in and through differences that are apparent, I have to see that which is beyond the names and the forms. That it becomes a knowledge. That cognitively I have to see. Not closing a meditation, now I have to sit in the meditation. Now, what do you see meditation? Same thing only. So if I means I'm closing my eyes, saying that the outside is not there. If I understand correctly, I have to be in meditation all the time. Follow now? Because I see Lord is everywhere all the time. But until then, sit there and close and all that, so that it doesn't get distracted. You need that before you go to the other one. So I'm just jumping the gun, but because this is examples are given not for teaching of something, application to our day-to-day life. Okay. Swataha Chit antaryami tu mayavi sushma sushtitaha sutratma sthula sushtaiva virad iti uchyate paraha. So supreme paraha, swataha chit antaryami and mayavi sushma sushtitaha with the maya, it becomes the sutratma, which is essentially the four headed Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji, and Sthula Sushtaiva Virat Iti Uchyate. So here are four classifications: pure consciousness, Antaryami, Ishvara has come, then Brahmaji has come, then Virat Purusha has come. So those are the four aspects in parallel to the cloth. So he just give you the four aspects and defining. Now he is going to talk more about it. So Shloka 5. Brahmadya stamba paryantaha Brahmadya stamba paryanta Praninotra jada api Uttamadhama bhavena Vartante patachitravat. So now he is looking at the analogy and the originality also. Atra, the pure self, that because we just finished that aspect. Brahmadyaha stambhaparyantaha, from Brahmaji all the way to simple insects. All that stambha means any grass plant, anything that is moving around. So all the way from the ant, from the Brahmaji all the way to out, they are conscious entities expressed in the forms. Praninaha jada api. So they are living as well as unliving, non-living, also expressed in the whole universe. So consciousness expressing from the total point, from the Brahmaji to that, all within the universe. So he's still looking at from the global point, and creation is from different aspects are coming out from the Brahmaji, that is four-headed Brahmaji Srishtikarta, all the way to little ant is nothing but consciousness. Now that knowledge I should have it when I am transacting now. Remember, this is not for a statement, as I said. So whenever I see any living entity, is nothing but the expression of consciousness through the equipments there. Okay? That knowledge I have to keep in mind all the time, to the degree that I can. Still, transactionally, ant is an ant, and the tiger is tiger, and elephant is elephant, and my bank balance is different from your bank balance. That is transactionally, I don't get confused. But understanding wise has to be clear. So in this way, all raga dveshas will get nullified, because the jealousies and all that there's no need for it. But everything is Lord, expression of the Lord only in those forms. And those forms have to express in that way. They are limited by those forms. Just as you are limited in your forms, they are limited by them. But in and through, it is the Lord expression only. That understanding I should have. So Brahmadya stambhaparyantaha praninaha atra jada api. Even the inert things are also part of the consciousness, only expressing in that forms. Uttama Adhama bhavena vartante padachitravatu. So in that Uttama, Adhama is the higher forms of life and lower forms of life, depending upon the equipments that are there to express itself. So higher and lower is nothing to do with the consciousness. There is no degree of higher or lower, but equipments are higher and lower. So hierarchy in the creation is not from the conscious point, not from the Lord point. That's why he is Antaryami, he is pervading everywhere. Yet the equipments are different. Rose is different, and the sunflower is different, and the jasmine is different. Each one has its own fragrance and its own beauty. At the same time, that's because it's expressed in those forms, yet it is the beauty that is of the Lord expressing in those forms also. So in the same way, ant is an ant, elephant is an elephant, tiger is a tiger, snake is a snake. I don't have to put my finger into the snake mouth and say, complain about it. Fire is fire and water is water. Each has to be treated. So fire really burns. So if I say, well, everything is Lord, so should I put my finger into the fire? Put it, then get it burned. That's also Lord. So you will have next time lesson properly. So because these are the criticisms of Vada. Oh, if you are Advaita in everything and says, I will give you Visham, can you drink it? Everything is Brahman, right? Brahma, everything is already Visham, and the nectar is nectar. There is no confusion that everything is electron, protons, neutrons. Doesn't mean that garbage is also electron, protons, neutrons. Delicious food is also electron, protons, neutrons. Doesn't mean that I am a scientist, doesn't mean that I have to eat garbage. So at transaction level, transactions has to be done according to Nama Rupa, because that is where called a Vyavaharika Satyam. Vyavahara is transactions. But Paramarthika Satyam, in and through, I should recognize this as a knowledge. Why do I need to recognize this? Because I am trying to gain something out of this, because I am trying to get happiness out of this, which is not there. That's what has to be understood. Is it? So that's why the whole teaching is for the guy who wants liberation. Liberation is liberation of misunderstanding due to the ignorance. He has to get liberated, because once you have knowledge, is moksha, is liberation. This we talk more directly when we go to Ashtavakra Gita tomorrow. Those who want to come, it is jumps right directly into that. Okay. Only problem is it doesn't come down. That's all. So anyway, Brahmadya Stamba Paryanta Praninotta Jada api Uttama Adhama Bhavena Vartante Patachitravatu. Just like in the Patachitram, in the painting also, you have different types of paintings there, where the human beings are there, animals are there, and ants may be there, plants may be there, and inert things, hills and valleys also have been painted in that. All are there on the Chitrapadam. And there also, what is Adhama and what is that Adhama is your classification only, depending upon, hey, this painting of a human being is Uttama and painting of an ant is Adhama. You can think of it, but from the painting point, it's just a painting. From the creation point, it's beautiful creation. Lord himself is, I am expressing that in that form too. Be careful with this teaching. So what should I do then? If everything is there, whatever I do is part of the Lord only? No. You are given your intellect to beautify the creation. So Lord is given you, say, help me to beautify more. For that he gave you intellect. He has done, I have done my job and I am taking care of other things. You take care of in your environment, beautify the creation more. That way, when you beautify, the Lord glory comes out beautifully. Okay? How do you beautify? First, beautify yourself by making all the dirty things removed and express yourself as the pure Lord. Pure Lord is, wherever the dharma is, there is the Lord. So whatever I do has to be dharmic. Then the Lord himself expresses through. So we'll go into more details in the Ashtavakra Gita. But here we have to be careful in terms of how we apply this understanding in my day-to-day. So when I get up first thing in the morning, I am transacting the world. I have to keep this knowledge in mind as I transact. Then my life, it becomes beautiful. because all negative tendencies automatically drops out. I see the beauty everywhere, in everything that I see, because the Lord is expressing in that forms also. Okay, 6 slokas like Chitrarpita Manushyanam Vastra Bhasa Prutak Prutaku Chitradharena Vastraina Sadrusha Iva Kalpita Chitra Arpita Manushyanam. It says Chitra Arpita, says that which is being painted or shown on the pictures of Manushyanam, of all the people. So imagine there is a painting. Remember, we have put a cloth and starts everything, and we have outline, and we have put pictures, and we have colored, and with all these human beings, and each human being have dressed beautifully in a different clothes. So paintings of colors are also different. Some ladies are beautifully dressed, and men are also dressed in a different way. The dresses are different, colors are different, varieties and varieties of paintings are there, and everything is beautifully painted there on that. So Chitra Arpita Manushyanam, of all the people. So there are different things are there. If I look at them, I see the beauty there in the creation. So it becomes a vibhuti. So when I look at the varieties in the universe, even though they are not real, but they are apparently real, enough for me to appreciate with my apparent eyes. But I am also looking through the window. So even the seer and the seen, both are within the creation only. And the duality is apparent. But when I am seeing, I see it as a real. And when I appreciate the beauty, I should recognize the adhara, the support for it. That's what his statement is. Chitra dharena vastraina sadrusha iva kalpitaha. So even though this cloth painting has different paints of different human beings with the different colors of dresses and all that, so all are dressed beautifully and different colors are there, but in and through that I had to remember there is a support, adhara, supporting all the colors, all the paintings, all that, and that is the cloth behind it, which doesn't have any colors. All colors is only superimposed on top of it. So that's what sadrusha eva kalpita. Chitra adharena vastraina. So on top of the vastra, on top of the cloth, you have seeing the superimposed paintings with the different colors and so on for different people. And that is behind of which there is an adhara, there is a support of cloth. Same way sadrusha eva kalpitaha. In the same way, one has to imagine the universe also in the varieties and varieties of beautiful creation. At the same time, there is a substratum support for it. And that's what is done in the next sloka. Thus he is giving the painting picture and taking back with that example to the universe also. Prutak chidabhasaha Chaitanya jasta dehinam kalpyante jivana manoho kalpante jivana manaha Bahudha samsaram chami. Bahudha samsaram chami. So now he is taking to the totality using the example of Chitrapada. So you have Prutak Chidabhasaha. Prutak means varieties and varieties of Chidabhasa. Just now you whole introduction I gave all that. This is because of these words are coming in now. Chidabhasa means reflected consciousness in everyone. So in everyone where there is a life is there, life is nothing but Chidakasa expressing itself in that conditioned equipment. Follow? Pure consciousness has nothing to do with it. Remember that, you say, don't say pure consciousness has become like, it's only explanation. Pure consciousness is there, And wherever there is a subtle body, it reflects the consciousness, and the reflected consciousness, when it reflects, the reflecting medium also acts as though it is conscious entity. Just as the moon is acting as though he is a luminous entity. By itself, moon doesn't have luminosity. By itself, BMI doesn't have consciousness. But that BMI, the subtle body, has a capacity to reflect, just like the moon has a reflection. Same way, the subtle body has a reflection. When it reflects not the regular light, but consciousness, it also acts as though it is conscious entity. Just as moon is appearing as a luminous entity. So remember, that's why moon and mind are related, right? Lunar, people become lunatic. So lunar and consciousness is a typical example of Vedanta. Moon is the presiding deity of the mind, by the way. So Chaitanya Adhyastha means superimpose on Dehinam, on all the bodies, BMIs. Kalpyante Jivanam Namanaha. So this is Kalpyante, are projected as though it is living entities now. What is life? Life is not consciousness. But without consciousness there is no life. Consciousness reflected in the subtle body is life. Now you follow? What is life is? So life is when the equipment is capacity to reflect. What is equipment? It has to be a subtle body. Subtle body has to be there to reflect it. It reflects automatically when there is when it is there, because consciousness is always there. So we don't say when consciousness is there. We cannot say because it's always there. But wherever there is a subtle body, it has a capacity to reflect, and therefore it becomes also a conscious entity. And that's what is called living. Somebody say, are you conscious? Yes. Non-living things are not conscious. Why they are not conscious? Because there is no subtle body to reflect it. Okay? So when the subtle body leaves this gross body, you have a dead body. That dead body doesn't reflect. Because it only reflects the existence aspect of it, not the conscious aspect of it. For conscious to reflect, the material has to be a little bit polished. That's all. So the reflection depends upon the capacity of the reflecting medium, right? So if the subtle body is dirty, the reflection is not clear. It is there, reflecting, but not very clear. So you have to polish the subtle body a little bit. If you polish the very clean surface, then it reflects beautifully. That's what is called Chitta Suddhi. Chitta Suddhi is purification of the mind so that consciousness beams through the. So mind whose minds are pure, consciousness beams through those minds. Okay? So that is essentially what is the purification of the mind. Not the purification of the consciousness. We are not purifying consciousness. Consciousness doesn't need to be purified. Consciousness reflects in the reflecting medium, and the reflecting medium has to be purified for reflection to occur beautifully. Okay? This has to be clear now. So sadhana and all that is only meant for, not for consciousness, for the mind to get pure so that it can reflect properly. So it is the mind that gets muddled with all the impurities. What are the impurities? All the vasanas, likes and dislikes and all that. So now you know all the whole story, right? If this is clear, then we know what we are talking about. So all religious practices and everything is only rubbing the mind, polishing the mind so that it is. If it's already polished, don't waste your time in polishing. Now see the truth now. So polishing is required until it's clear. Now the question is asked, how do I know my mind is polished? Right? Simple answer is, if you can attend Panchadasi classes, that means your mind is purified enough to attend it. The fact of the matter is, if I can grasp the Vedantic truth, my mind is purified enough. We'll come back again when we go to Ashtavakra Gita what the real purification is. Also he's going to talk about Aparoksha Jnanam also. But at least I have enough purified, then I don't need to, I need now subtler polishing for finer polishing. I don't know, I had to tell my metallurgical experience. So when we are metallurgists, you know, I'm a metallurgist from basic background. So we had to polish the metal piece to see what is there. One, we have to polish it so that there won't be any scratches. Then we etch it and see what are the different phases. That's how we look at the phases and all that. We're using microscope. But before we look at the phases, we need to polish it. So how do we polish? This is what we learned there in the first class in our BE. Is first they have different grades of the rough paper, polishing paper. We take highest rough paper and polish and make scratches in one direction. So previous all over directions are removed and put direction in one scratch. Then we go to next level of finer paper and turn 90 degrees and then polish again, removing the previous scratches and establish new scratches, but now thinner. So we go to different levels of papers and the finest paper ultimately to remove all previous scratches and establish only one set of parallel scratches of finer and finer and finer. And last finer one is removed by cloth which is rotating and with a water dropping, and it is a polish with a very fine particle type, and it will be completely polished. By the time we see it will be shining reflection. In the same way, we have to go through Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga. All yogas are polishing the mind so that the mind becomes finer. And what is the litmus test of finer? You should see clearly. What's clearly? It has to ready to absorb the Vedanta. Why Vedanta? Because it is telling you about who you really are. Because my mind is dispersed all over. Even if you ask them, advertise all over the place, nobody will come. You say, what is good of this? Because they have not seen the priority of this compared to others. Not that Panchadasi I'm not talking about, but any Vedantic class, that's where the purity of the mind is the litmus test. So here, Prutak Chidabhasahat Chaitanyan Adhyastha means superimposed on top of it, apparently superimposed on top of it. Because I am pure all the time actually. Okay, Sloka 8. Vastrabhasastitan varnan yadvadadhara vastragan vadantagnyastadha jiva samsaram sidgatim viduhu. So Ajnaha, now we are talking about ignorant person. So who is ignorant person? Whoever has this problem is ignorant person. Okay, so we have to classify whether you are ignorant or not depending upon this qualification. So Ajnaha, Vastra Abhasastitaha, that which is there on the Vastram, that which is there on top of it. That means all the paintings that are there on that painting. So painted dresses of the men and the women that is there on the painting. So Vastra. So Varnan Yatvatu. So there are different Varnas, like different colors, varieties of colors are being painted of people are in the painting, the people are wearing, or the varieties of dresses and all that. Adhara Vastragam. They think that is Adhara, that is the reality is there. That means we assume, hey, this girl is wearing a beautiful dress, that girl is not wearing, that dress is not good. All that is classifications that superficially taking that each figure as real and then carrying on with that. So Vadanti, they declare as if one is real and one is not real. So the movement of this Jiva Chitgadam Viduhu, know that it is the pure conscious. Now, how is this is shifting now from the patam to the individual. So I become a Jiva when I identify myself with the equipment that I have and the equipments that others have as real and transact with the world. So what is a Jiva now? Has to be clear. So I am, you're all talking about I am, everybody say I am so and so. So when you say who are you, so what is your introduction? I am, all your biodata, right? This. So there is already ajnanam. Why? Because I am this, right? Always talk. I am, this is, I am pure consciousness, this is being inert, that identification I am, this is the essence of the ignorance, because I am giving a reality to this and I say I am this. So I am this. Of course, you cannot be that, but that is easy to say I am not the glass. But I am the body. So that's the problem there, because this idam shareeram kaunteya, this is the idam pointed out. So anything that I can objectify is this. Correct definition is anything that I can objectify this, because this is an object. And I cannot objectify myself, I am. I cannot say I am this, because this is an object and I am a subject. So subject is different from an object. So who is ajnani? Ajnani is the one who doesn't have jnanam. What is jnanam? He doesn't know who he is. That's the basic. So if tomorrow you say, can you please tell me who I am? If you go and walk, they think you are a crazy guy. So, okay, who know? You don't know who you are? I don't know who you are. I don't think you know who you are also, according to Vedanta. Because everybody thinks they know each other. They know themselves and operate in the world without knowing who they are. That's the problem. That's why Vedanta becomes a pramana here. Is ajnani is the one who takes the reality. Now we are not talking about the patam and painting. We know that that's painting and all that. But when it applies to our life, we are taking this as real though. Now we have to apply this. So whenever I get confused or whenever I think I have a problem, you follow now? You say, I'm not confused. You say, I'm not confused. Do you have a problem? I think I have, morning I have a problem. I have a problem with this fellow, or I have a problem with that fellow. Every time we are complaining. So any complaining is what? I am taking this and not that. And I complain always with other people. I don't complain about myself. I complain about other people only, most of the time. Therefore, anytime I am doing complaining, that means I am in the what he calls about ajnana. Follow now? It's not just patam and looking at the colors, painting. That's only example. Example is when I apply to myself. Say, how do I apply? Whenever my mind is perturbed and agitated and having a problem, and say, I have a problem. The problem is, you have a problem. The fundamental problem is, you are projecting what you are not as you are. Everything else is other problem. Other problems belong to the world. Isvara Srishti. There is nothing much you can do. If you can do, just change it. But when I say, I have a problem, I am not able to sleep properly, I am having restlessness, it means my mind is perturbed. That means I am giving reality to the perturbations of the mind, and I am not the mind. I am only consciousness that is reflected in the mind. So if I apply this, and I can tell you this is not easy. I can sit here and talk. But when applying, I had to keep in mind, because it's very easy to identify myself with the locality than the totality. Extremely difficult to shift myself. So it is constant. It's called even understanding Vedanta. I have to keep remembering, attending, knowing until I am firmly abiding in the knowledge itself, until it becomes natural. So I had to sit and meditate. I am a man, I am a man, I am a man. Why? Because Swamiji used to give example. Mr. Jones, I don't know if you know the story, Mr. Jones suddenly thought he is a rat. So he says, I am a rat, I am a rat. So there's no problem. He said, the wife thought, what is this fellow is saying? So because whenever he sees cat, he was hiding himself because he's a rat. He wants to protect himself. So he went to, the wife took her to doctor and says, you are not a rat, you are a man. So he was meditating, I am a man, I am a man, I am a man. And he understood what? I am a man and not a rat. So he paid the doctor made sure that he got his fees back. So after paying the dues, he came home, all cured, because he is a man, not a rat. Rat looks different and he looks different. Man looks different from a rat. But he suddenly saw a cat. So he ran back to the doctor. Says, what is the problem? So I know I am a man, but I'm not sure whether the cat knows that I am a man or not. So I know I am Brahman. I am not this body, but my neighbor doesn't know that I am Brahman. What do I do? So this understanding has to be clear. So it is, I am a man. I have to meditate until I am convinced that I am a man. The same way, I am convinced that I am pure existent consciousness. This is only equipment. I myself expressing in him whom I am complaining. Follow now? I am pure consciousness expressing myself in that form and complaining, other form in appreciating, just as my waking mind itself projecting different things in my dream, and subject I am complaining about the tiger. I created the tiger myself, and I created to run, I created the forest, and I am running also. All that is only my creation only. But tiger is different, I am different, and I want to save myself from the tiger. Say, just wake up. You are the tiger, and you are the man, and you are the forest, you are everything too. But this, easy to say in the dream, but this I had to recognize in my waking state. Oh, tiger is going to kill him. So how can anybody can kill him? Na jayati mruyati va kadachit nayam bhutva na bhavita va na bhuya ajonitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyati hanemane sarire. So Gita starts, right? So that understanding if I have, body gets killed, yes. But I am not the body. I am that which is killing me also. I am that tiger that is killing me. I am the conscious entity expressing myself in all those forms. So that understanding has to be inculcated. How does it come? Srotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavya. There are no shortcuts. Keep on listening, 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 and contemplating, and until it becomes one with you. So until then, I have to meditate. I am a man, I am a man, I am a man. I am a conscious entity, I am conscious entity. I am Satchidananda Swarupam, not this body, mind and intellect. So Adha Samsaras Jivaha Samsaram Chidgadam Viduhu. So Chidgadam, it is the pure consciousness, but the samsari is the one who is moving around with identification with the local entity, transgressing from one to another lokas and all that. So it says Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janaram, all that will be happening for the one who identifies himself, I am this. So as long as I am identification, so samsara will go on. The moment I recognize that I am not this as a fact, not as a thought, then things can go. Yeah, I am everywhere. How can I go? When I am everywhere in all these forms too. So I can recognize myself in everywhere. Then there is no more. I cannot move. I am infinite now. There cannot be movement. There is no samsarati. There is no movement of anywhere. Okay. We'll go back to the text again. Chitrastha parvatadinam Chitrastha parvatadinam Vastrabhaso na likhyate Abhaso na likhyate Sruštistha mrutikadinam Sruštistha mrutikadinam Chidabhasas nahi. Now he is explaining the living entities also. So Chitrastha Parvatadinam. So Parvata Adinam. So just as the mountains and all that, there is no saris and cloths, they don't have any cover. Why? They are inert. So the inert things are not dressed with different colors and all that. At least in this picture, you can have a fall and all that somewhere else. But here, the mountains, etc., are inert in the painting, and I don't expect anything. And why it is not painting? Because they are inert. In the same way, in the creation, there are inert things where consciousness doesn't express itself. You have to be careful. Consciousness is all pervading. So how come this is not conscious? It is not expressing itself because the equipment is not ready to reflect the consciousness. Equipment is only reflecting the existence aspect only. So the existence aspect only can be seen. How many have got the inauguration book? Oh God. So there is an article I wrote in that Science and Vedanta. If you read that, so there is a how subject-object relationship is being discussed there in the exhaustively. So what is an object and what is a subject and how this object existence is established? It requires a subject to say that there is an object. You have to be careful. So here the understanding is conscious entity has to establish the existence of unconscious entities. But unconscious entities cannot say I am there. But what is the difference between conscious entities and unconscious entities? Consciousness doesn't get reflected because they don't have the subtle body. They have only the gross body is there, the matter is there, which is not capable of reflecting the consciousness. It's only capable of reflecting the existent part of it only. So Sushtistha, and then Vastra Abhaso na lipyate. So Vastra Abhaso na likyate. So the refraction of the consciousness through the Vastram, the colors are not there in the inert things because they are inert. And so he is giving a painting example where there is no cloth for the inert things, and then taking to consciousness in the living. Sushtistaha mrittigadinam chidavasa stha nahi. So in the case of creation also, there are inert materials like mrittigadinam. Mrittika means the mud, etc. There are certain inert things where the consciousness is not getting reflected. Only existent part is getting reflected. Okay? Okay, once we understand this, slokas can go quickly because the basic is to be clear. Samsara paramarthoyam, samsara paramarthoyam, samligna swatma vastuni, ligna swatma vastuni, iti bhrantiravidyasyat, bhrantiravidyasya, vidyaya nivartate, vidyaya nivartate. So, I am samsaraha, this samsara, this transmigrating. Samsara is jiva moving about. So the movement comes into picture driven by force, right? So what is the force that makes you move? That is essentially the vasanas that propel you. So I go from here to other place and other place to why? Because I have desire and the vasanas expresses a desire and desire makes me to move. So essentially the force is there to move. And what is the force that I had to leave from this loka to another loka? Because the vasanas of this is over. Prarabdha karma is over. Then the next set of vasanas, in order to, I need a different body and different environment to exhaust those. Therefore, this subtle body leaves this gross body in search of a different loka and different body where it can express itself. So that's called samsara, movement of one place to other place and all that. So all our because of then we complain about the environment is not right and the body is not right. So body problems, the environment problems, all that is because what? And we complain about other people. We chose that particular place and particular because of our own vasanas. So our vasanas are taking us to a particular environment, and then we complain about that environment. So that's where the problem is. So here it says all Bhranti. It's all in your mind, because avidya, so basic fundamental problem is I am taking myself what I am not as I am. That's a basic problem. I am taking this body as I am what I am not, because this is this and I am subject, conscious entity. Nobody will say I am unconscious entity, right? So, but at the same time I am identifying with unconscious entity as I am this. Any this is unconscious entity. So I am identifying, at the same time I say I am conscious entity. So there is a confusion. Confusion because of lack of understanding of mind. After understanding, I can play the game. That's a different story. So I can deliberately act as though this is I am the body. I don't have to say, so who are you? Is I am, period, and stop. I have to identify I am so and so. Even though, you know, my qualifications, I can give you all that I am Chinmaya Mission member or this or that or whatever. For transactional purposes, knowing very well, I need that only for transactions. But in and through the transactions, I also have to recognize I am beyond these transactions. And that is the knowledge. So that's what he's going to tell in all that anyway. Just to give you when the sloka says. So vidya, esha vidyaya nivartate. So vidyaya nivartate. So by knowledge, I can remove this ignorance. So this delusion is coming because of ignorance. So when I do not know what I am, I take what I am not as I am, and get that's what is delusion is. Cold. Swamiji calls it non-apprehension of myself contributes to misapprehension of myself. I do not know that I am sleeping in the air-conditioned room, comfortably in the dark room, and I project in myself I am in the forest, and I never think that I am actually sleeping comfortably there. I am in the hot sun running for saving myself, because I do not know who I am. My nature is I am a sleeper, but I am a runner here, waking in the dream. So because my true nature is covered by the ignorance. So according to Vedanta, the knowledge is always covered by ignorance. Any knowledge. That's why discovering means remove the cover. So scientist will discover the laws. Laws are there. He doesn't invent the law. So when he say he discovered means he removed the cover. Right? So ignorance is a cover that I had to remove it for that which is there already there to express itself. And discovering means I have to make an effort. So I have to remove the cloth in order to see what it is there. So this is beautifully explained in the Naishkarmya Siddhi. It says when I go to a pitch dark room, I don't see anything there. And to see anything, I need a torchlight. Right? Suppose I have a torchlight, I see this one, I see that one, I see chair, I see table, and all of that I see in the light of torchlight. Without the torchlight, I cannot see. So I had to put the torchlight, and suddenly I saw a pot. And it's upside down. So out of curiosity, so I went there and lifted the pot. Then what do I see? I see a candle burning there, which was covered by the pot. Now should I put a torchlight to see the candle that is burning? Candle is already burning. There is a light there. So I don't need a light to see a light. But I could not see the light because it is covered by the pot. I need an effort to remove the pot. But once I remove the pot, then I don't have to do anything because the light is self-shining. Follow? That means once I remove the ignorance of who am I by Vedanta, that's what removing the pot, the self-shining consciousness is because I am that pure consciousness. That knowledge comes out without any further. It is self-effulgent, therefore self-revealing. I don't need to do anything else. But I need to do to remove the pot and put it aside. Therefore, I need to do Vedanta Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana to removing the pot. That is covering the lid. You follow now? Follow all the processes and how realization is. Realization involves what is effort? Effort is to removing the ignorance part. Then it becomes self-shining and self-revealing. And that's what is Vidya. Esha Vidya Nivartate. That knowledge, that which tells you who you are. And that is the real knowledge. So, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaya Naparaha. Anena Vedyam Tat Shastram. That's what Shankara says. That because of which you know, that is the real truth, real Vidya. Everything else is not really Shastram. Even though we say Vijnana Shastram, this Shastram, that Shastram, they are not real Shastram. But what is Anena Vedyam? That because of which I can know Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Those three, that which reveals is the real Shastram. Iti Vedanta Dindimaha. And that is what is called Vidya here, that which is to be known. We stop here at the 10 because we have now 11, 12 o'clock. So we will start with from the sloka, so 10 slokas we covered, and from 11th on we will start for the next week.
So are you going to take questions?
1 minute, we'll do Purnamada and then we can stop this. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Can you please that? Can you put the name Panchadasi 1 to 10? 6 chapter 6 verse V 1 to 10, and then save it. If you need help, let me know. Yes, now we can ask questions, but questions is for clarification, and you have your own answers, but you may not accept your answers, but only I can give only my understanding, and you can take it or leave it. Because I cannot answer the questions. You have to answer the questions yourself. Only I can give some